Next, let us finally go into the place our learning so far, and then what is that we want to communicate to you today, right?
Yeah, we pretty much
So,
covered all of this, but
yeah.
yeah, let's reiterate.
So reiterating this in terms of what is the main things you need to look for. So as we started during the presentation itself, the first point is essentially what is the right ad format for your website and content, right? Whether you need to work with the display ad or you had an expansion ad or where you have to where you have to place is the second thing. The first thing is what kind of format works for you. If you are having too many content, I mean, ads directly from the market, can you use a carousel, can you use a roadblock? Those is the kind of formats you need to choose from. So again, it will come from experimentation, try it out, and then have a metric as a four metrics which we talked about, and then from that we can actually look at which will work for you, right?
Look at the ROI for
Yeah.
the format you are putting the ad to, because there is a limited inventories you have in the website. So for the limited inventory, limited spaces, you need to look at the right format at the right placement.
True.
Yeah.
Next thing which boils down to is the right placements, which is what we talked about in terms of
Different ad
yeah,
inventory types.
ad inventory types. We talked about enabling multiple, like for example, a sticky ad. Should we give it to someone outside or inside? How can I monetize this? Those are things which we have to talk about, right? Again, experiment. And we also we want to actually touch upon auto ads also. AdSense has introduced this auto ads feature, right? Most of our clients have actually told to stay away from auto ad because it changes the ad layout. There is
So
some.
there are three formats in auto ads. One is called vignette ads, and then there's called anchor ads, and then they're called inline auto ads, right? In-page auto ads. So we generally don't recommend in-page auto ads, because in-page auto ads injected by AdSense automatically inline in your website. So it may break your layout, because AdSense may not understand all your website layout right away, because there could be certain layout elements which are rendered using Ajax later on. So we recommend our publishers to not to use in-page auto ads. Using vignette ad, which format which we did not cover, and using anchor ads is something you can still use. I'll just explain those two ads formats quickly. Anchor ad is essentially more like, a sticky ad. What we see, we programmatically look at an sticky ad. Google has another ad format called anchor ads, which basically slide down either from bottom to footer or from the header part, slides down, show the ads, and slides up. That Google call it anchor ads. Other format is vignette ad, which essentially Google triggers when you click on a link and you are in transition to another page. So these two ads essentially does not impact your user from reading the content, and that is the reason it's okay if you are using those two ad formats. But if you are going for an sticky ad, you don't need an anchor ad, because you are already taking that inventory with someone else. Vignette ad is still you can always use in auto ads. Yeah, Vinod.
Yeah. Next thing is essentially networks of choice. We talked about briefly what are the networks out there, right? So there are certain networks. For example, one notorious network across all our clients is MGID. We have tried with a lot of clients where they have given negative feedback on the kind of ad pictures which are coming there. So right now, if you see, most of our clients are okay with the Colombia, which is again Times reselling setup, and then we have a deal with OpenX, which is not predominantly in Indian, but it's okay. But then again, predominantly the thing which is using in India is AdX setup. And then there are people who can actually participate in header bidding to specific use cases. As Hocalware, we are also going to get AdX soon, and then we'll be rolling out AdX to a couple of our selected partners as well, where we can monetize this, with much more premium inventory by participating in header bidding in most of these networks out there. So this is something which you'll have to have a thorough understanding of. Then we talk about some kind of experiments, which is basically A/B testing. A/B testing is like a fancy way of telling that I will try something for some time, and then if it works, I works. I will do it for 10% of my people, 20% of people, like that. That's a fancy way of telling that. But essentially, yeah, A/B testing is something which many people are adopting actively to see what is the best fit for them, right? Then we talk about impact of website functionalities. Do you want to have an infinite scroll? Whether having a JS based ingestion, which is basically rendering in something using a JavaScript, will that impact your ad revenue? Those are things which you need to have an intuitive understanding of. So these are some things which we discuss with our clients. We even sometimes recommend don't go for certain things like this. if it is impacting your regular scroll of traffic itself. See, if you are having a CPC and CPM of 100, but your traffic has plunged by 30-40%, there's no point in that, right?
I'll give one more classic example of this ads and its impact. The ad vendor. There are a lot of ad vendors which says put my script into your header synchronously. So we need to understand how this whole website functionality works. Whenever the website renders, all the scripts which are already included in the website has to render. Now assume that for a reason that ad server is down at some point of time and not able to serve the ad, just because of that ad script you put into your header in synchronous manner, your whole website can go for a toss and not load at all, because that ad script will be blocked and it will block your entire website rendering until that gets timeout, and the timeout happens in say 15-20 seconds. So essentially for certain users your website is not loading for 20-25 seconds and impacting all other aspect of it. So we have to be very careful about which
Yes,
vendor
functionality
of that
yeah.
ad. Yeah.
So this actually translates into the next point which you have written here, which is essentially be mindful of your traffic, right? What are your sources? How is your source changing? Is it predominantly a social media driven or a search driven or a direct traffic? This is something which we need to very carefully keep looking at. Then we start talking about, this is something which is prevalent with a lot of our clients also, which is content violations and impact of ads. In our system itself we have a feature where you can disable ads for certain type of content that is written into the system itself, but most people don't use it, and then they start publishing kind of content which is not in line with what a Google publishing policy is. Content which is talking about some murder, it may be a newsworthy content in that area, but still it is not something which Google wants. So you should be avoiding these kind of contents, content related to adult related topics, content related to crime, content related to death or anything like that, right? Which Google actively identifies and stops restricting not only that content but your entire website. It penalizes you entirely.
In fact, it's not just related to ads. That kind of content, or at least the imaginary or graphic, should be avoided. I have seen a couple of our publishers complaining that their Facebook pages has been blocked because of the same reason. So be very careful on the content or the presentation of the content. It may not be the content itself; it may be the presentation which is wrong. So content violation and impacts on the ads is humongous. You can see that in, if you are using AdSense, you can see in your AdSense notification, we keep sending the violation reports as well. Yeah.
Then we talk about tech related basics which we need to know, which is like, what is impact of your ads to a text, what happens if you don't have that, right? What if your entry messes up there, right? How do you load your ads? Is lazy loading being followed? Are we like, as Ashwini was explaining, are you putting it as a synchronous code or an asynchronous code? How is it impacting your website basic, right? These are some data, like predominantly these things. JS optimization, how reliable is your server, how reliable is your vendor server in terms of sending these ads? So these are things which we need to be aware of. The business, as a business owner of your thing, as a revenue concerned person, you should be aware of some basics in this aspect, right? Then we need to talk about platform dependent updates, like you, for no reason of yours your traffic may go down, for no reason of yours your ad revenue may go down. So it is consistently you have to keep looking at what's happening. We can share a list of people to follow also. We ourselves follow all these folks, like there are some SEO experts like John Mueller you have to follow. There are certain updates from Facebook which you need to keep track of, right? So these are things which we need to keep track of. Otherwise, see, it's not that we have not faulted ourselves. For a couple of times our own app has got a violation and got blocked once, right? So not because what we do, but some one of our client has created something, and that would have a repercussion on us, right? Or we go and we haven't updated a particular policy, weren't able to update it in time. So those kind of things are also there. But essentially that is something which you need to consistently follow up and be on the lookout for, right? And last but not the least, have regular interactions with all your service providers, ad vendors. Report should be of paramount importance. Have, again, you don't have to do a PhD in this, but at least those 4 5 points which you have, you need to be very clear about this thing, and have a report from your vendor saying that these are the things which has happened, which we have done new, or we have changed something, right? So that is something which you need to stay on top of.